everyone, Michelle Fix-It here. This video today is going to be on how to bleed your brakes. So, what you need is a vehicle. I have a vehicle. In fact, there are lots of them. Lots of vehicles. But this vehicle is a 2006 Chevy Trailblazer, and we have had to replace some of our studs. There's a video on that. And then that led to replacing the caliper and the rotor. So bask in the glory of the caliper and the rotor, and of course the brake pads. And anyone knows that whenever you have to do calipers, then you need to bleed your brakes. So I also have this one-man brake bleeder kit, and even though I do it with another person in the front, I'm going to show you guys how to use this kit and how you should be bleeding your brakes. So stick with it and you will find out how to do these things. So your first step that you need to do is you need to pop your hood and migrate over to your master cylinder. So let's pop our hood. Alright. Hopefully, if you are attempting to bleed your brakes, you know what a master cylinder looks like. This is one of the versions of a master cylinder. It'll have dot on it to indicate what type of brake fluid you need. And you're going to check your reservoir. And you're going to go ahead and add brake fluid to it because we are going to be forcing and clearing brake fluid through the lines. So I'm going to get some brake fluid, okay? And you're going to need to take note that there is a max line for your brake fluid. So you want to make sure that you fill it up to the max line when you're going through the process, and then continuously go and check it. So the process is going to be, you start from the furthest caliper from where the master cylinder is. So in this instance, our master cylinder is located right by the driver front door. So we are going to work, we're going to need more than this. So we are going to work from the furthest away, which is going to be the rear passenger, and then we would do the rear driver, and then we would do the passenger front, and then the driver front. That would be the sequence. We just changed out a caliper in the back, so the rear driver. So being that the tires are already off on this vehicle, we're gonna go, thank you, we're gonna go ahead and bleed the brakes in that caliper to end up doing the same thing again. So this is just an initial, how do you do this? So you are going to need to find a wrench that is the size for your bleeder valve on your caliper, and you're going to need to have a handy dandy assistant, some type of tubing, like I showed you guys, and then we'll go through the process. But essentially, you're going to have somebody get into the vehicle. Once you've loosened the bleeder valve on the caliper and you've connected the hose so that you can see the line, you're going to have them press on the brake to create firmness. And then once they have pressure, they should tell you, you know, pressure up, whatever, something. You guys need to have some type of language. And then you're going to open up the valve to let the brake fluid go through, and you're going to see a bunch of bubbles and stuff like that. And the bubbles are not your friend. They are your enemy whenever it comes to brakes. So you're going to want to have them continue to push down, and then right before they hit the floor, they should tell you floor, and then you should close the bleeder valve. And then you should say, okay, go ahead and let it back up again, meaning let the pedal go back up again. Once the pedal is up, then they need to tell you it's up, and then you need to tell them to put the brake back down with their foot. And then once you have pressure, you're going to open that line up. You're going to repeat that process until the brake fluid is clear, until you don't have any more air bubbles in there, and then you're going to close it up and test your brakes. And you should have firm, not spongy, not soggy, not moving brakes, and that means that your job is complete. But again, every so often you're going to check and make sure that you have brake fluid, an adequate amount, because you don't want this to dry out as far as like having air in there and not fluid, because that is bad. And then you're going to repeat that process throughout the rest of the vehicle. But again, in this instance, the brake fluid is gross, this is a new to us vehicle, and it needs to, the caliper needs to be bled because we just replaced the caliper and the rotor on that side, tires off. It is so much easier to do this with a tire off, so we're gonna go ahead and do it. So let's go ahead and top it off first. And also remember that brake fluid is extremely corrosive. And because I'm keeping the top off, I am comfortable with overfilling it a little bit, because I know in this instance that I'm going to bleed a bunch of that through because I have an empty caliper. So we're going to migrate over here. I'll lower you guys down. And right here is the bleeder valve for the brakes. And because ours is brand new, oh, fascinating. It has a little warning. I don't think the last time I did this. So it says that using a banjo bolt from the failed caliper will void a product warranty. So don't reuse parts. But that's on the bleeder valve. This is our cap for the bleeder valve. So you want to make sure that you don't lose that, because it keeps all this stuff nice and pretty and clear. We are going to ask our handy dandy assistant to go ahead and get into the vehicle. All right, so I did get the wrench for my portion of it, and then I have my handy dandy assistant in here. So he's going to need to pump the brakes. So right now, I've already pumped them a couple of times, but you want to build up some pressure. So you want to pump, 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 and then build pressure, hold pressure, and then he needs to say pressure. And then when I'm over there, that's when, after I have my hose connected, I'm going to use my wrench, open up the valve while he continues to maintain pressure. And then what's going to happen is, as I release the pressure through that hose, his foot is going to start dropping down. Now, before he hits the floor, he needs to tell me floor, so that there's still, the fluid is still going through the brake fluid. And I'm going to close the valve. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to say pump the brakes, and he's going to pump and build it back up again, hold pressure, and then we correspond and talk our way through it. So that's that portion of it. All right, and now we get an unboxing video, because I hurt my knees on random bolts. So this is a one-man bleeder kit. I just picked these up from AutoZone or wherever because I lose them. I don't typically use these as just a one-person thing. They have different little accessories that you can use. The tip right here is to be able to stick into the tip of the bleeder valve, and then you have the hose. So the way that you put this guy together is you connect the longer hose, which is this one, to this little bleeder tip. There we go. So it should look like that. And then we're going to connect the other end of the long hose to the bottle. Okay, like so. And we're going to open up the bottle. Oh, and look, they've already done that part for us. But there's additional ones if you need them for different things. So, and you're going to close up your bottle. And you can make one at home with a bottle and a tube. But you know what? It's convenient. And you're going to connect your little magnet guy. And you're going to find something metal to stick it on. There's something metal to stick it on. That's why you have it that way. You're going to put this little tip in here. And if you're doing this on a 2006 Trailblazer, then you're going to have a 7/16 wrench, and you're going to tell your handy dandy assistant to pump the brakes. And you tell me when there's pressure. Did you pump the brakes?
Right now. Pressure.
So clearly, a banjo bolt. Are you maintaining pressure?
I'm maintaining pressure.
Okay. So currently, as a fun little extra to this video, I have a leak. We were doing this repair yesterday, and then it got so cold that we stopped. So let's see what's going on. Alright, so for some reason, that bolt is not tightened up enough. So we did go ahead and do our tightening of the caliper mounting bolt. I'm going to check the tightness of these guys as well, because it should not be leaking. And I'm going to check the torque specs on this guy before I continue, so that way I will know. So you guys are going to get paused, but when you start bleeding your brakes will let you know if you have any issues going on, which clearly we finger tightened those and we forgot to tighten this guy up, which is why it's best if you work on a project and you finish it, or you write yourself notes or something, because it did not do that. All right, we're back. So 33 pounds, torque wrench, all that good stuff. Okay, just that's one of the reasons why it's really good to have a Haynes or a Chilton manual for your vehicle, because the internet likes to give lots of opinions and rather go with a reliable source. So now that we are properly pressurized, no more leaking, we can continue. So we have our little brake line guy sitting right here, and then we have this guy smushed it in, and then we have our 7/16. So you are pressured.
I'm pressured.
So that means that his foot is on the brake, he has pumped it up, and it is sitting on the brake. So as soon as I turn this little guy, bleeder valve, you guys are gonna get all like super crowded with me right here. So as soon as I open this up, it's gonna start having fluid go. So we open it up. We should get, there's some fluid, and you see all those little bubbles? Those bubbles are not your friend. So let me know right before you hit the floor. So I'm gonna close it. All right, pump it up again. And we wanna make sure that we don't have any of those little bubbles going through, because those bubbles are bad for your brake system.
Pressure.
And, thank you. And also, the fluid is dirty and gross. We want it to not to be this color. We want it to be clearish. Oh, look at those big bubbles. We're waiting for him to say floor.
Floor.
And we close. Pump.
Pressure.
And then we open it back up again because he's pressured. And he has to tell us when it's the floor.
Floor.
And we close. Pump it up.
All right, Pressure.
Open it up. Lots more bubbles.
Floor.
Close it up. Stand by, I'm trying to get them a little bit better view.
Okay.
Your bubbles will get smaller, and I want you guys to be able to see what is going on. But I'm also trying to work on the project. So, yeah, you guys aren't gonna get too great of a shot, but there's a bunch of bubbles right here. There's big bubbles right here. All right, so are you pumped?
Pressure.
Open it up. Lots more air.
Floor.
Okay. Sorry, stand by. I'm trying to get them a good view. Trying being the keywords there. So you guys add time to my day. All right, there we go. Okay, you're pressured.
1 second. Alright, pressure. Floor.
Okay, pump the brakes. So now we're just looking at gross brake fluid. Still got bubbles.
Floor.
Pump them.
Pressure. 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 Floor.
All right, so at this point we don't have any more bubbles, but if you can tell, this brake fluid is super gross. So we're gonna do this until this bottle is full, and then we're gonna dump the fluid in a container. I'm gonna check the master cylinder, and then I'll show you guys what the brake fluid is supposed to actually look like, and that way you guys will know what we're aiming for, because we're not going for the gold right now, but we're going for no air bubbles. And then after that, we have to change the other side with the rotors, the calipers, and the pads. And then we'll have to do this again and make sure that these lines are clear. But this is not the color that you want.
Pressure.
Pressure.
Floor.
Okay, we actually do still have some bubbles. I spoke too soon. Okay, go ahead and pump. Oh, and our bottle is full. Can you get me some type of container to empty this out into? And then give me the brake fluid too. If we have a fuller one. So I'm going to show them the color it's supposed to be. Alright, so I have brand new brake fluid. It is extremely corrosive for painted things. So, as you can see, brand new brake fluid is clear. You see the color difference between this and that? So, dirty brake fluid, I brown stuff is not clear, like the new stuff. So we want it to be clear. Are we going to get it clear right now? No. We're going to continue to pump some of this out. You can cheat if you have a, if you have some type of little suction device. You see how gross that is? I mean, just look at it. It is not clear. It is not clear at all. It is super duper duper disgusting. Hasn't been changed in quite some time. So we're going to continue to pump for a little bit, make sure we have no air bubbles at all, and then we'll move on to the other caliper. And you guys pretty much do the same thing. All right, did you top off the master cylinder?
Yeah.
Okay, so pump your brakes.
Pressure.
Still got some more bubbles.
Floor.
Close it up, pump it up.
Pressure.
Oh, lots of bubbles right there.
Floor.
You do want to check and make sure this is as tight as possible so that you don't have any bubbles going in. Okay, go ahead.
Alright, pressure. Floor.
Pump.
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 Pressure. Floor.
Pump. And so I'm just getting teeny tiny bubbles here and there. And one of the things that you want to make sure you're doing, okay, hold on, is don't touch this tip because you can artificially create bubbles there. So that's why you want to make sure it's super smushed in. And then once you have those teeny tiny bubbles going away, then you know you're good. But I'm already full again, so I have to dump. Which is one of the reasons why a lot of people just make a kit. They'll take a soda bottle and pierce a hole through it, get some tubing, stick it on there. Whatever way you want to do it. This is just really convenient for me. Alright, you're on the pedal?
Yep. Pressure. Floor.
Pump.
Pressure. Floor.
Pump.
Pressure.
Pump.
Floor.
Oh, sorry. Pump.
Pressure. Floor.
Pump. So we're just going for one more bottle fill and then we're going to move on to the next caliper.
Pressure. Floor.
Pump.
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 Pressure. Floor.
All right, we're done with this side.
Okay.
So what I did was I made sure we had like 3-4 rounds of pumping that did not have any bubbles in there to make sure that my line was clear. My line is still not clear, clearly, because it is still dirty, but for what we are doing with bleeding the brakes, it is now done. It's just I am not happy with the quality of the brake fluid. So now what we're going to do is we're going to dump out the rest of the gross stuff into our container, which you guys cannot see clearly. But sorry, my hands are full. So dumping out the gross stuff. Go ahead and overfill the master cylinder again for me. And then we will reserve this for the next time we need it. But I hope that that helped you guys out. I know it's a little overkill to have a 27-minute long video, but try to make it where you guys understand that, like, people can do this. We can all do this. It's not, it's just a little bit of knowledge.